Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to be going over the 3 best investments you can make in your 20s. I'm only 22 and these are things I'm personally doing right now to set myself up financially for a great future. And these are 3 actual investments you can make and not just things like invest in yourself and read a book every day and all that sort of stuff that finance gurus usually tell you to do.
Here in my garage, just bought this new Lamborghini here. Knowledge.
So the first best investment you can make in your 20s is getting a reliable used car. Now starting off with this one was very intentional because what ends up happening a lot of times is the first time people get a decent paying real job, the first big expensive purchase they make is a brand new expensive car. There are so many people that I know from high school and college that graduated, got a good paying job, and then the first thing they did was financed a super expensive car. What I recommend is buying a car make that is known for being reliable and doesn't have costly parts, so that when you do have inevitable car troubles, it won't cost a fortune to fix and replace expensive parts. What I bought back in 2019 during my final year of college was the good old 2016 Toyota Corolla. I went for this car because Toyota is known for being a reliable make. And it was only 3 years old at the time, and it only had 40,000 miles on it, which is relatively low. Honestly, buying a car that's 3 to 5 years old is probably one of the best things you can do because it's still relatively new, so it won't have many mechanical problems. And because cars lose most of their value in the first few years of ownership, you'll be buying at a massive discount compared to a new car, which will lose a third of its value in the first year you own it. In the case of my Toyota Corolla, I bought it for $10,000, which I paid for in cash. And in the 2.5 years that I've owned the car, it has given me 0 problems whatsoever. So this puts you in a much better financial position than if you were to take out a loan to buy a brand new expensive car for $30,000 or more. One of my friends, after he graduated, actually financed a brand new truck, and now he's stuck with a $550 payment each month for it. And what's even more shocking is this same friend only pays $600 a month in rent. So he's practically paying the same amount of money to drive his truck as he is to live in his apartment, which really puts this money trap into perspective. And sorry to anybody that lives in California or New York and hears me talking about a $600 rent when they're probably paying $4,000 a month or more. You must be thinking that my friend lives in a shoebox, but I promise $600 a month is definitely possible in Arizona when you're in the middle of nowhere. Anyways, my point is that you shouldn't fall into the trap of leasing or financing a brand new vehicle that you can't afford. Because not only will you end up with a large monthly debt payment, but also your vehicle will lose most of its value in the first years of ownership. So moving on to the second best investment you can make in your 20s, and that's buying real estate. This could be your own house to live in or an investment property to rent out to tenants. Right now, I'm super excited to say that I'm under contract to buy my first house and it's supposed to close later this month. Now I wanted to explain why I think buying a house is a good decision for me and most people in their 20s. First of all finances aside, renting, at least for the most part and in my experience, just kind of sucks. It seems like every place I've rented, I've always had the noisiest neighbors. In the place I'm renting right now, above me, there's a family of about 10 little kids that run around screaming all day and a dog. And then below me, I have a family that shouts at each other constantly and throws parties every weekend. Not to mention, right next to my window, I have a big construction site where they're building a new apartment building, and I wake up to the lovely sound of excavators every morning, and it runs from about 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. every single day. I mean, so now you know why I have to film these videos at night. So overall, renting, which is what people do most of the time in their 20s, isn't very fun. Now all of this is going to be a massive contrast to where I'm going to be living in about a month, which is a nice 4-bedroom house in a beautiful suburb about 20 minutes east of Dallas, Texas. I'll finally have lots of space and a nice yard, and hopefully I won't have to take an hour or more to record these videos because I have to repeat myself every time I get interrupted by a random neighbor making a random noise. But now I wanted to dig into the numbers and show you why it makes more financial sense to buy a house earlier in your 20s, rather than later on in your 30s, which is when most people buy their first home. And I'll be using my home purchase as an example. Right now, my total monthly payment to live in my 1-bedroom, 600 square foot spacious apartment is $1,300. That includes the rent itself and all the utilities and other fees like electricity, water, parking, garbage, all that sort of stuff. Once I move into my new house, which I purchased for $285,000, I will be paying a monthly mortgage payment of $1,050, which is based on my 10% down payment and an almost record low 30-year fixed mortgage interest rate of 2.75%. Then I'll also have to pay mortgage insurance, which is $40 a month. This is an extra payment you have to make to secure your mortgage lender when your down payment is less than 20%. Then I'll also have to pay about $500 a month in property taxes, because the property taxes over here in Texas are much higher because we have no state income tax. I'll also have to pay around $100 a month in homeowners insurance, $40 a month in HOA fees, and I'll assume around $200 a month in utilities. So in total, I'll be paying around $1,930 a month to live in my new home. So of course, $1,930 is quite a lot more than what I'm spending right now to live in my one-bedroom apartment, but here's where it gets interesting. When you make monthly payments towards paying off your mortgage, a portion of that payment goes towards paying off the interest of your mortgage, and the rest goes towards paying down the mortgage principal until you finally pay off the mortgage after your 30-year term. So during my first year of ownership, I'll be paying off around $465 a month in principal, which is equity I'm building in the home, so it really isn't a cost. It's more like a forced savings account that's trapped in your home until you refinance it or sell it. Another form of savings I'll receive from owning a house as opposed to renting is tax savings. As a homeowner, you're allowed to deduct your taxable income by the amount you spend on mortgage interest payments and property taxes. So in my case, I'll be spending around $1,100 a month in interest payments and taxes, so I'll be able to reduce my taxable income by $1,100 a month. And since my marginal tax rate is 22%, that means I'm able to reduce the amount of taxes I pay each month by around $240. So now if we factor in these savings to the total monthly cost to own my house, we have the $1,930 total payment, subtract the $465 in mortgage principal payoff, and subtract the $240 I'll save in taxes, and then the true cost to own my house comes out to $1,225, which is funnily enough cheaper than the $1,300 I'm paying right now to live in my noisy, cramped one-bedroom apartment. And what's crazy is I haven't even factored in other benefits of owning real estate, like how over time my home will appreciate in value and how my mortgage payment is fixed. Whereas if I were to continue renting, over time my rental payments would increase with inflation. Overall, buying a house is usually superior to renting. You just have to be prepared to own the house for 5 to 7 years, which is usually the time it takes to recoup the cost of buying and selling the house. And another added benefit is that when you're in your 20s, you're usually quite flexible. So it can be a good idea to rent out the rooms of your house to your friends and then let them pay off your mortgage for you while you live there rent-free. Okay, so now moving on to the third best investment you can make in your 20s, and that's putting money into a Roth IRA. This is a retirement account to which you can contribute up to $6,000 annually. You can open up a Roth IRA at a bank or a brokerage and select what you want to invest in, such as mutual funds, stocks, bonds, or ETFs. I recommend investing into a broad stock market index fund ETF. This will diversify your investment across hundreds of the highest quality stocks the market has to offer. And if you want specific recommendations as to what index funds to invest in, then check out a video I made earlier called the top 5 index funds that will make you a millionaire. A Roth IRA is a great long-term investment because your contributions grow tax-free. And you can also withdraw your money from your account tax-free when you're over the age of 59 and a half. And as is the case with all investing, the longer you invest your money, the better. So this is why it's one of the best investments to make in your 20s, because you're young and you can fully reap the benefits of compound interest. If you invest as little as $250 a month and receive an average stock market return of 8%, then by the time you retire, you'll have over $1 million in your account. Okay, so I also wanted to throw in a quick bonus investment here, and that is investing into side hustles. I feel like every person in their 20s should have a few side hustles going on aside from their day job or schooling. Personally, I have quite a few side hustles that I'm working on constantly. One is that I do food photography for companies that pay me to take really nice pictures of their food. And then what's super cool about that is then I get to keep the food afterwards. Another one is that I have a second YouTube channel where I talk about houseplants, and I know you can't see behind me, but I actually have like 50 plus houseplants back there that I tried to hide for this YouTube channel, which is my third side hustle. So all of these together make me a couple $100 extra a month, which isn't a lot, but it is something extra. And over time, as you build that, it can turn into a lot more. There are so many side hustles that you can start with less than $1,000. So I really recommend making that investment in your early 20s so you can use that time to build it and then maybe even make a whole career out of it. And with that being said, those are, I guess, the 4 best investments that you can make in your early 20s. Thanks so much for watching. And if you enjoyed, make sure you hit that like button and then comment down below what you thought about this video, if you thought I missed out on any of them. Because I mean, I know there's more than 4 investments you can make in your early 20s that will set you up really well for the future, but I'd love to hear your thoughts about that. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you later.